Welcome to the Biz Connection, a show dedicated to the education, motivation, inspiration, and empowerment of business entrepreneurs everywhere. Now, here are your hosts, Jim Rosetti and Ron Neilsen.
Okay, we are coming back at you once again, another segment of the Biz Connection. Yes, maybe do a little entertaining.
We try to entertain a little bit along the way.
Our guests include business owners, business experts, business coaches, business authors, and yes, hard-hitting entrepreneurs like our guest today.
Hard-hitting, hard-working.
So, this will be good. On the Biz Connection, we champion entrepreneurship.
Okay,
So,
with that said, I want to bring our guest in because, as I said, she's a young lady I met as a SCORE client probably several months ago. And Christa has steadfastly pursued her business dreams, and she's done a great job of it. And she started a company called Get Dinner on the Table. And I want to welcome you to the show, Christa.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here because you're the wheels that make the show go around. You've got a great business idea. We met as a SCORE, as I say, in a SCORE mentoring session. And I was fascinated by your company and by your background. Let me have you describe Get Dinner on the Table. What, for our listeners, what just a little encapsulator of the company?
Sure. Well, as you said, my business is called Get Dinner on the Table, and my mission is to provide healthy meals for busy families. And I do that primarily through a personal chef service. And what that means is I go into people's homes and cook meals for them that can be easily refrigerated or frozen, and then they can be pulled out as the family needs them.
So you don't prepare them. I mean, you can prepare them and put them right on the table, but you can also freeze them and prepare them ahead of time.
Right. Mostly what I do is prepare the meals ahead of time. I do have someone I'm cooking for next Friday, and she knows she's having people over that evening. So that's not one that's really a make-ahead meal. That one will be ready. And I do have to cook in their homes. I cannot, for example, cook in my home and sell the meals to clients.
You would have to do it in a commercial kitchen if you were going to do it. Yeah.
I would have to, and that has been challenging to find.
And there's laws and regulations related to that, I would assume.
Many, yep.
Well, now, your background is... You
Yeah, I have a degree in kinesiology. I went to...
Easy for you to say, Jim.
I went to UW-Milwaukee, and I graduated in 2003, and kinesiology just means exercise science. So I have been in the fitness industry since then. And what I have found that is the people who have the most solid nutrition bases behind them have the most success when they're trying to achieve fitness goals. So that is what made me think that I have to hit wellness on the nutrition end as well.
So you've actually started out as a trainer, and you've worked in that capacity too, didn't you?
Yes.
For the area or Sheboygan County school system. Yeah.
Yep.
So what did you do in between? You graduated from college.
I graduated from college. I worked for the sports corps for a couple of years doing personal training and teaching fitness classes, and then I got the position where I did personal training for the community at South and North High School, and that position unfortunately ended due to budget cuts. And that is when I thought I needed to do something else, and I really enjoy cooking. I have 3 children, and I do cook for them every day and really value mealtime, and we do sit down every day and have dinner as a family.
So when you decided to make this into a business, did your husband tell you you're crazy, or did anybody tell you that?
He did not.
He was very supportive.
He was very supportive.
That's good.
And I could not do this if he wasn't so supportive. And he is definitely coming on board a little bit. He's been coming to clients' homes and helping me cook, so it doesn't take so long. And that is helpful. And I would love to see this grow where I definitely hire other chefs to do some cooking.
And the reason why I asked that question, Jim and Christa, is that so many times when somebody wants to go into business, even if it's a business somebody's been in, I hear it a lot that people think, why would you want to do that? And, some of the people that supposedly support entrepreneurs are actually the ones that kind of hold you back.
Right. Well, it can be that way.
So it's really great when you have a supportive spouse, for instance.
And I think that's one of the first questions as a SCORE client I ask, is your spouse support what you want to do? Because if they're not on board, that does not mean that it's going to totally wipe it out. That
it just
you're going to do it.
Things
just
a lot easier.
Yeah, makes it much easier. So And I had a chance to meet him, and he's got his own kind of ambitions in another business that he's launching.
Yeah, I've definitely inspired him, and he has started a business called Festivus Sports, and he wants to do fundraising through sporting events.
Well, and when we talked and we met, I know you worked on your business plan.
Yes.
And hold the thought, because I don't want to get too far into that, and then I have to interrupt you a little bit. But we'll talk a little bit about some of the pre-planning you did for this and some of what you felt prepped you for what you're doing today.
Okay, great.
And we're going to talk to listeners so they can be on board with people that are starting and doing dynamic
Absolutely.
things. Okay, you're on America's all business talk show on the radio, and just behind every business, there's a great story to tell, and likewise, we're telling one again today. So stay with us. We're coming back right after a message or two. Yay, we are back. We're talking business right here in the Biz Connection. So glad you could join us today. And our guest today is Christa Wilson. Christa started a company called Get Dinner on the Table. And just before we get back to Christa, I want to remind folks, they should have by now had that mystery entrepreneur down pat. Just go to our website, bizconnectionwi.com. Tell us who our mystery entrepreneur was. Go ahead and email it to us, and I'd like to get a nice gift out to folks.
That's right.
All right, with that, I'm going to get back to Christa because she's got a fascinating story to tell. And I think we started, I was just talking about your business plan before we took a break. And did you write the business plan?
Right, I did write a business plan, and it is so different from where I am now. My vision of it was a lot different. I was just intending to do a personal chef service where I go into people's homes and cook for them, but so many other things have come out of it. I've taught healthy take and bake meal classes for Plymouth Community Ed. I have done some corporate team building activities where a group from a company comes together and they make a meal together and share that. I also have volunteered to be a chef for the Nourish program in Sheboygan County, so it has gone a lot of different directions, but I do see it going in corporations or schools where if a company has a kitchen on site, I could prepare meals and then employees could take them home.
Yeah, the business plan, and I'm glad you said that because for folks that think that's etched in stone, it's not. It is basically to be tweaked, to be revised as things change. Once you get into the business, you're actually involved. You find out what's working, what's not working. You start trimming away some of the fat.
But don't take your business plan and throw it in the waste bin.
No, right, exactly.
Because it does form the basis for adjusting your financial plan.
And she found that once she got going, it made some turns and twists.
Definitely. Yeah.
So how long ago did you start the business?
It's been a little over 2 years now. As I mentioned before, my background is in fitness, and I was a personal trainer. And when that position ended in 2010, I believe, that is when I started thinking of doing the personal chef business.
So, Christa, you've obviously made some changes, but when you started your business, did you gain traction as quickly as you thought?
No, it is a very new idea to this area. There aren't any other personal chefs in this area, and that has been one of the challenges of starting this business, is to just explain the idea to people and get it across to them. I have found that many people would prefer to pick up a meal or have a meal dropped off than have me come home and cook in their kitchens. And that is also the other major obstacle.
So that's a major obstacle or inhibitor. Why do you think that is? Because they just don't know about your service, or is there some other reason?
Well, there are plenty of kitchens around that aren't used full time. Kitchens in schools and churches in particular. And I've contacted several of both, and they've gotten back to me saying it's a liability issue, which I don't completely understand because I do have liability insurance, and it is an issue to their tax structure as well. And I don't know. I don't really have the understanding of that as well.
It sounds like there's a lady in my B&I group that does massage therapy, and she's got massage therapists that work with her, and she's found clients that take her along to Cancun on vacation because they want massages every day. I can see that happening to you, Christa.
I think, Jim, I'm going to become a massage therapist.
That's interesting because I am a massage therapist as well, but that's not what the show is.
That's for another show.
For a free trip to Cancun, I might do anything.
That is interesting because there is a family staying at the Blue Harbor Resort this summer, and they wanted someone to cook their meal because they're staying at one of the villas there, and they wanted someone to cook their family meal versus going out or going to the restaurant or or having to cook themselves while they're on vacation. So they found out about me through the chamber. I'm a member of the Sheboygan Chamber, and so that vacationers is another market.
Well, here's the thing, Christa. I think you're right. You're probably kind of on the cutting edge of something. It's a relatively new trend. It's not new and coming. People have been, I think, turned on to the world of healthier eating for a long time. They haven't always practiced it, but I think a lot more people are starting to come into the fold. You're seeing that, and you're coming right along with them, as right on the cutting edge of a new trend, paradigm shift.
Right, and I think a lot of people know what they should be eating. It's just, I think the biggest obstacle to the healthy eating is the time factor. Not even money. I think it's just the time. If you have a family where both parents work, to come home at night and to think about what you're going to have for dinner and then have to shop and meal plan and cook and serve and clean up, it is a lot of a time commitment that I am fortunately enough, I do have that time, but I know that many families don't have that time.
So, Christa, in the beginning, you were just talking about that it took you a little bit longer to get some traction in your marketing or get people to notice you. What are some of the things that you did during that period of time to get people to know who you are and know the service that you offer?
I think one of the biggest things I did was teach the healthy take and bake meal classes for Plymouth Community Ed. And that is set up so people come in and they take the class, and we do it at the high school in the culinary arts room. So everybody has their own station, their own utensils, their own sink, their own oven. And I've planned out 3 meals for them to make, and they make them and they package them. They bring their own casserole dishes and they bring them home to freeze them. So I wasn't actually doing any of the cooking.
No, but you orchestrated the session.
Yes, I did. And that's the way you can get around all the food code laws, because I'm not doing any of the cooking. The people who are cooking are the people who are bringing it home and consuming it themselves. So that is one of the biggest things.
So, but at the same time, it was kind of like a marketing tactic where you're teaching people to do what you do, and then you say, well, by the way, I can do this for you.
Yes. Yep. That was helpful.
So that's a great tactic.
Can they go out to your website? Because you have a website.
I do. It's getdinneronthetable.com, and I just changed it, and I have my personal chef services and what that entails and the pricing, and also what I'm looking for as far as a kitchen to cook out of, because I really envision myself being in companies and cooking on site and having people take home meals.
We had talked about a possibility of companies realizing what a little perk this would be for employees, to have employees to be able to pick up a healthy meal on the way out of work in the late afternoon and head for home with their families and be able to take dinner home with them. You're preparing it at the company.
Right.
Yeah. Which could be a tremendous little asset for a company to offer their employees.
Yeah, there are several places around here who do have kitchens on site, and I'm thinking schools too. I mean, everybody has a kitchen in their school, and it's used during the school day, just briefly, but there's a lot of downtime.
Well, today's companies like Google and some of these companies are doing that very thing.
Right.
That's exactly what.
Well, there's concierge services for all kinds of things like laundry and, they save
Lawn
people
care.
time.
Yep.
And this could be the next coming thing. So.
It's a 21st century tactic that's catching on.
And you can do them one better. You could actually make a week's worth of meals at one time and put them in the freezer.
Right. That's really the most efficient way for me to do it versus coming to someone's house and just making one meal. It's much more efficient for me to make 5 at a time and then package them and put them in the refrigerator and freezer.
Pull out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you get the whole meal. A whole week in a bag. How about, or in a freezer. How about that?
Do they watch you prepare them like the Food Channel and that kind of?
No, they usually go about their business. Some of them aren't even home; they're at work. So it's kind of like a ghost in the night. They just come home and it's all ready.
It's there.
It's all there for them, and there's no mess. So some of them do stay, but usually they don't really come in the kitchen.
Okay, we're coming up on a break here. You're on America's all business talk show on the radio, and remember, behind every business, there's a story to tell, and on the Biz Connection, we're telling them. Stay with us. We're going to take a break or two. We'll be right back talking with Christa Wilson. Get dinner on the table. We'll be right back.
If you ever decide to motor west. All right, we're coming down the stretch. We're talking business right here on the Biz Connection. Great guest today, great show. I'm excited to have her on board. It's called Get Dinner on the Table. Our guest is Christa Wilson, founder, CEO, executive vice president. She wears a lot of hats.
Chief cook and bottle washer. I think that all goes together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, Christa, starting this business, I mean, you're discovering you wear a lot of hats when you run a business anyway. Right. And right now you're pretty much doing it all yourself in the development, bringing this business to fruition. Where do you see this being, looking out 5 years down the road? Where do you see yourself with this?
I definitely see involving a lot more people in the business. I definitely enjoy cooking in people's homes for them, but I think I could reach a much wider range of people if I took it corporate or in like a school system.
Right.
And that being said, I know I couldn't be in the kitchen myself preparing meals for a corporation of, 200, 300, 400 people and get all those meals out myself. So I do envision shifting out of in-home cooking into cooking for different organizations with on-site kitchens.
Could you see yourself maybe having a facility where you actually, all set up for commercial cooking and you could prepare it there and having people come to the facility?
Yep, that is another possibility as well.
Yeah.
So, Christa, I just have kind of a question, kind of going backwards a little bit. Where did you come up with the concept?
Before I started this, I had a group of church friends, and we would get together and assemble 3 or 4 meals, and we'd kind of just make a night out of it. Right. And I would do all the planning. I would pick the recipes with some input from everybody and make a grocery list and a supply list and print out all the recipes, and we would all get together and make 3 or 4 meals in one night, and it was a lot of fun. There also used to be a business in Sheboygan called Main Dish Kitchen on the north side where people would come and assemble meals to bring home and freeze.
There was another restaurant franchise called Prime Cut or something like that where you cooked your own steaks.
Well, there's one in Green Bay.
Is it
Prime Quarter?
Prime Quarter, yeah.
It's kind of a fun place to go to.
Yeah, it was a little different than what you're doing, but it was still people
the concept is there.
Doing it themselves.
And Christa, just to make sure everybody understands, you cook in their homes.
Yes.
And they get to choose the menu? Is that how it works?
Right. What I do is I send them initial intake form, and I have them fill out their family's likes, dislikes, foods definitely to include, foods to avoid, any food allergies, so I know what the family's tastes and preferences are. And then based on that, I send them about 10 recipes, and then they shoot me back their 5 favorite, and then I make those.
Go from there.
And you try and make them healthy.
I do, yes.
So even if I ask for a greasy bacon cheeseburger.
I have not used bacon yet or anything. And you try to use whole wheat products and lots of vegetables and fruits. In the summer, it's easier to use fresh because that's what's locally available. In the winter, I use more of the frozen.
So then do you meet with the household chef or whoever it is and go over the kitchen and find out where everything is?
Yes, I do. That is very important. It would not be a very good idea to walk into a kitchen the very first time, being ready to cook. No, it is always nice to go in there and see what utensils they have, the layout of everything, because oftentimes the client is not at home.
Right.
So I can't, just call to the other room and say, oh, where's the knives? Where are the cutting boards? How does the dishwasher work? How does the oven work? So
Okay.
that is a good idea to visit the kitchen.
And then you
before
clean
come.
up. You clean up afterwards, right? I mean, everything is put back where.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep. I do clean up all the dishes.
Because
put
that's
everything
always
away.
the worst part of making a meal. I think
The
I'm not
cleanup-
that I'm a good chef to begin with.
Well, always leave that for somebody else.
That's right.
Do you need to be bonded then when you by going into people's homes and that type of thing?
Like,
Well, like if somebody were going to allow cleaning people to come in, usually they're bonded. If something is missing or somebody says, "Oh, there was a whatever,"
we have not had any agreements
issue.
like that
Okay,
or issues
all right.
like that. They usually kind of tell me where a key is, or
Yeah.
a lot of times they are home to start with to let me in and then go off and do errands and,
Okay.
and come back.
But when they get home, you've got meal on the table.
Yes, and I
And
do
in the
have
freezer.
full liability insurance, just
Yeah.
for any incidences.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So where do you think, based on where you thought you would be after 2 years? Obviously things have changed, but financially, are you pretty much on track or?
Yeah, there isn't really a whole lot of costs right now because I think the biggest cost is the food. And I have that as an additional charge to my service. You pay for my service plus the grocery costs. So if a meal is a lot more expensive than another meal, I don't absorb the food costs. So that has helped to structure it like that.
It's all built into the to the fees that you charge.
It's
but, yeah.
extra. So
Okay. Well, I saw that in your
yes,
website.
I have a service price. Then I will add the whole grocery bill on at the end.
So you will go out and shop too?
I will do the shopping too, yes. And I usually check with the client too to make sure I'm not buying anything that they already have at home. Like if I need milk for something, I'm not going to buy a gallon of milk if I know they have it at home. And I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah. So with the cost too, and I don't have to buy an oven. I don't have to buy a refrigerator because everybody has that in their homes ready.
Right.
It's a sign of a good entrepreneur, somebody who keeps their costs low,
Well, exactly.
especially in the startup phase.
Exactly. I think people appreciate that too. That that you're performing the services for.
Right.
So how are they finding out about you? How are you marketing this business and getting the word out there?
I'm a member of the chamber, so people have found about me
Through the chamber, yeah.
Yep. And the cooking classes, that's another way people have found out about me. Also, as I mentioned briefly before, I cook for the Nourish program in Sheboygan County, and that's a farm-to-table philanthropy. And every week they have a booth at the farmers market in Sheboygan, and they have guest chefs cooking the food for them to give away, and they put out my cards. So I've had people contact me because they've had some of the soups or some of the foods that I've made for them at the farmers market.
Well, you can also use email marketing too.
I
Yes.
usually have a sign-in sheet whenever I do an event like a cooking class. I have a sign-in sheet so I can get emails.
Okay. So, I mean, you're going after what's nice here is you're going after a specific niche of the market, and the people that are utilizing are the ones that really appreciate what you're doing. I mean, there's going to be junk eaters that are never going to pay attention to what they're eating. I mean, that's always going to be part of our culture. But there's also that segment, and that's where your business plan is really geared toward the people that really understand that. And there's more people coming into that fold as we go further down the road, realizing that, hey, they look at their bellies one day and go, I got to do something about this. And I love your fitness background too.
Right. I think they go definitely well together, and I've done both for clients. I've done, personal training in their homes, and then afterwards we'll talk about what we're going to make for the week. So it does go well together. And I think people also, like whether they like it or not, are sort of being forced into a healthier lifestyle because of their employer's insurance too.
Do you become somebody wants to call you up later and say, hey, Christa, can you do a little consulting for people after you've left, and they may need some advice or direction on preparing meals, and after you've gone, how does that work?
I have not had any like that.
You're open to it, though.
I am open to it, yes. I think that is what we've been doing more in the classes, like where actually is more hands-on, and I'm right there and I can show techniques and I can do a little more education versus just the regular in-home clients where I don't really do a lot of education
Yeah,
because they aren't really around.
Well, I can see people, after she's gone, saying, "Hey, let's get a hold of Christa. I want to do something for my family. This weekend's coming up, big weekend," and they might just be calling you up for expertise.
Or are there ways to make my favorite brownie recipe a little more healthy, or whatever it is?
Yes, I find lots of recipes, and then I do tweak them a little bit to make them healthier. And that's funny that you mentioned the brownies, because I do make a black bean brownie that may not sound appetizing by the name, but it is really good, and that recipe is on my website.
Okay, all right. We are coming down the stretch here, so before we get too far down the road, Christa, I want to lean on you a little bit for a biz tip for our listeners before we go today.
Sure. When you start out as an entrepreneur, you really have this idea and just want to go at it full force and want everything to happen really quickly. But I've been doing this for a little over 2 years now, and I still feel like I'm in the startup stages of it. So that is my tip too, that it does take time and you do have to keep with it throughout that time.
What do you
That's a
say,
great
Ron?
one.
It's not a sprint?
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so many business owners, people at startup I work with, they want to get, as much money and get this thing rolling as quickly as they can. And many times it's not the right thing to do. And it just doesn't happen that way.
Right. No, it's great advice. Have a little patience in what you're going to do.
Right.
Sometimes you just seem like, I got to get it all done in one day, and it doesn't work that way. So, okay, we are. That's our show for this week. I want to thank Christa Wilson. Get Dinner on the Table. Once again, your website.
GetDinnerOnTheTable.com, and thank you for listening today.
Let's give out a number, or if they want to get a hold of you by phone, they can call you.
Sure, it is 920-892-9190, and my email is getdinneronthetable@gmail.com, and all my contact information is also on the website.
We're going to bring you back, and as you get further down the road, and just see the progress that you're making. So
Excellent.
All right, sounds good. All right, that's our show for today, Ron. And don't forget our mystery entrepreneur. Tell us who we're talking about. BizConnectionWI.com. And if you want to like us out there on Facebook, that's okay too. And we'd love to hear from you. Maybe people have a suggestion, a certain type of guest or a business, or maybe an author or somebody they think would make a good guest. And I'd love to hear from them.
Or if they'd like to come on the show themselves.
There you go. And don't forget, once again, like I said, like us out there on Facebook. That means a thumbs up. Is that what that is, Ron?
That's what that is.
Okay. All right. We'll see you next week. Go to our website. You'll find out who next week's guest is. Once again, we thank Christa Wilson for coming in today. Get Dinner on the Table. Great show. That's it for this week. We'll see you in a week.
Welcome to the Biz Connection, a show dedicated to the education, motivation, inspiration, and empowerment of business entrepreneurs everywhere. Now, here are your hosts, Jim Rosetti and Ron Neilsen.
Okay, we are coming back at you once again. Another segment of the Biz Connection.